What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I want to make a quick video on, well, I don't want to say a quick video, but I want to make a video on basically on Mack's system, the price action trading strategy.com, right? I've seen his recent video and the live trading video, and he talked about a few things that where people saying the strategy doesn't work anymore. And again, I don't want to defend him or anything like that. There is some flaws in the strategy. I've talked about this many times, but I want to generally put a video of, like, if you're a beginner and if you don't know trading, if you don't know anything about this business or whatever, and you found his strategy and you want to try it out, I think there should be some things that you should be aware of. Okay, not every strategy is perfect. Not every strategy is going to give you 100% win rates. That's impossible. It doesn't exist. But his strategy does work. And for those people who are saying it doesn't work, I could see both sides, right? And I've been using his strategy for 2.5 years. Not 2.5, a little over 2 years. It'll be 2.5 coming up later on. But the point is, I have been using the system. I have been profitable with it. I have passed many evaluations with it. And I did have to make some changes to it to suit my trading style and what works for me. Now, one thing right off the bat that I want to do, kind of warn you new traders into this business, right? Or into the strategy. He talks about the 4-tick scalp. Okay, that doesn't work. It doesn't matter what he says. I don't care. That doesn't work. And he says that in his video, the recent one, which is from, I guess, from yesterday, that it's you cannot trade with a 3-point stop and having a 1-point profit. That doesn't work. And I'm glad he said that, because I think he recognized it, but he's not going to change it, because the reason he's not going to change it is because it works for him. Okay, it works for him. He's been doing it for 25 years, and he's not going to change what works for him. All right, he doesn't care about anybody else or whatever. It works for him. It's been working for him for 20+ years. He's not going to change that. For you and me, for a person who's coming into the space who has no idea, that simply is not going to work. Okay, the market is different than it was 25 years ago. It's very different, actually, and it's really hard to make that 1-point scalp with a 3-point stop loss or even more profitable or work. It's very difficult. Now, yes, maybe down the road, 10-15 years you know, in the future, you might be able to make that work, but nobody's got 10-15 years to do this. Like, it's how you gonna trade for 10-15 years and not be profitable in all those years? You know what I mean? It's like you'll quit before even it gets to that point. You will quit because you're beating your head against the wall with the 1-point scalp. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And if he's going to continue teaching people on, you know, this strategy, which again, it's a great strategy and I like it a lot, he needs to adjust that. He needs to adjust that to at least 1-to-1, or maybe just 2 points, right? If you're risking 3, scalp out at 2, minimum at 2, minimum. Okay, you can get 2 points easy on this market. Maybe not in a current market, because right now market's not doing anything. This is the price action, by the way, from today, 20th. But on a normal conditions, normal, you know, market hours, more market volatility, volume, 2 points is easily obtainable, easily. Okay, so if you're just starting to do 1-to-1, trust me, do 1-to-1. It will definitely help you a lot in long term, and you'll definitely have much less headaches when it comes to being profitable. All right, do 1-to-1. Don't do 4-point tick scalp or 4-tick scalp or 1-point scalp. Don't do that. That's terrible. You'll just beat yourself up, and you'll eventually end up quitting because it just does not work. Let's talk about contract size. Okay, so his strategy, and I think he also needs to mention this, and he did actually say in that video from yesterday, trading singles, or he says trading singles, right, meaning one contract, is going to be very difficult. It really is, because like he said, the math is not going to add up. It just simply won't. So this strategy, trading single contract, one contract, is actually not really optimal, to be honest. I think this strategy shines really well when you use a runner. Now, for you to use a runner, you need to use at least 5 or more contracts. 4 for a scalp and then 1 for a runner. Again, if you're scalping, I don't recommend doing that, but hey, whatever, to each his own. But if you are going to do for 1 point scalp, you have to use a runner, because the runner will make a whole lot of difference. And he doesn't emphasize that. He does mention it from time to time, but he does not, because when I did the 100K challenge with Bullnox, I was using a runner. I was using 10 contracts to scalp for 1 point, and then 1 contract to just let it run. And the way I trade the contract, the runner, I just set it and forget it. And if it comes back and hits my stop loss with that runner, that's fine. I'm still in the profit. I'm still good. Okay. And more often than not, if you're doing this correctly, your runner will run. I mean, there's times where I caught like maybe 5 or 6 points with a runner consistently, and I passed that challenge. It was like I think the target profit on the challenge is $6,000. I did it in 2 weeks. Why? Because I was using a runner. Like, yeah, you might have a loser or two, but if you let the runner run, and I was doing it with 1 contract, and he's doing it with 5. Okay, so just imagine, like, you do the math. That makes a whole lot of difference. And again, even trading with 2 contracts, I mean, it's possible. It is really possible, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult. It boils down to that 1 point scalp. It's very difficult. And there's a lot of people in his forums and stuff that will defend him no matter what. It's like a mini version of ICT, man. It's like a cult, right? Everybody's talking about how great ICT is, but you can't even trade. So anyways, that's not the point. So yes, you got to use runner with this strategy, at least 5 contracts. That's my opinion. That's where it shines the most. If you are scalping, fine, do whatever you want. But I would suggest, if you do scalp, I suggest let that runner run. Just leave it alone. Don't do the break even +1, because that will stop you out almost every single time. Especially the ES, Mack himself always says it's very efficient, and I've seen it where price comes back to you, entry point stops you out and goes exactly where you thought it's gonna go. Okay, so if you're gonna use a runner, leave it alone. Let it do its thing, let it play out, and then if you get stopped out, whatever, no big deal. You're still in profit. So that's using a runner. Gotta use a runner. Now, one thing I do want to mention about the runner is, well, if you're a new trader, right, somebody who has no idea what's going on, you can't really trade with 5 contracts, let alone 2 contracts, because it's too much. It's way too much. You want to scale slowly as you get more comfortable. Then you start increasing the contract sizes, because ultimately what you're doing is you're increasing the risk, right? If you're adding more contracts, you're adding more risk. That's how it goes. So again, if you're new and you are trading with 5 contracts and you see, I'm losing, $500, $700, $800, you're completely damaging your psychology, your mentality. You're destroying your mentality. Don't do that. Okay, start slow. Start with 1 contract. Go to micros. Screw it. Just go to micros. Do that. Okay, get a 1 contract in micros and just go crazy, because do it on evaluation or a sim account, whatever. I don't care, right? 1 contract on a micro is $1.25, right? Is that right? Yeah, $1.25 per 1 tick. So basically, it's $5 per point. So do that. Next thing is the channels. The channels. I mean, it's one of those things where the channels are, well, it's discretionary, right? Because your channel might look different than my channel might look different than his channel, and so on and so forth. Yes, over time you will get better at finding these channels, and sometimes I still struggle to find, if it's a difficult trading day, I do find it difficult to find channels, but under normal conditions, it's fairly straightforward, and it's all about training your eyes. So my whole point with the challenge is, if your channel is wrong, your entry is wrong, and you will get a loser. That's just how it was. This strategy heavily depends on channels or trend lines or whatever you want to call them. It's heavily dependent on them. And like I said before, if your channel is incorrect, your entry is incorrect, and you will get a loser. That's just how it is. It can get confusing with, you know, narrow channels, wider channels, and so on and so forth. Generally speaking, I don't trust the bigger channels. I don't trust them. I stay away from them because I don't like them. I like using medium to small channels. That's where kind of like shine, so to speak, right? But to each his own. To each his own. Next thing, let's talk about the 2000 tick chart. Again, I could see why people complain about what strategy is not working, because I was using 2000 tick chart for, again, 2 years. I stopped using it this past January. I haven't used it ever since. And honestly speaking, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better because there's, again, this might be a bad example, but specifically today, the price action was just not doing anything. So, but there's times where 2000 tick chart is almost like a 30-second chart. And especially if like 2 weeks ago when it had this crazy volatility, you're basically trading a 30-second chart. And even I do have a, what do you call it, a 10K chart here. That just kind of gives me a general direction of the price. I don't trade off of it unless it's like a super nice setup, then I'll take it. But I just watch it, and even the 10K chart was moving super fast. I mean, it was crazy. But if you just normal trading days, normal price action, if you compare the 2000 tick chart to 1 minute chart, they're pretty much identical. Honestly, there's very little difference between those two. Very little. So you're trading a 1 minute chart essentially. And if, like I said before, if the volatility is crazy, you're probably trading 30-second chart. That's how it is. My suggestion, and he even said that himself, Mack, switch to a bigger chart, 2500, 3K, maybe, I don't know about 5K. That's a little too big because the candles can get big on that chart. But then again, to each his own. But 2000 tick chart, I don't know, man. He's been using it for 25 plus years. It works for him. Okay, what works for him might not work for you. Okay, so yeah, it's just to each his own. You have to experiment. You know, go ahead and do 2500, do, you know, 3000, 3500, whatever that works for you. Go ahead, do it. Just make sure your risk is appropriate. And I guess the last thing I want to talk about is the chart reviews. Now, unfortunately, we will never know what trades he takes. We will never know what his win rate is. We will never know that because he will not share it. He won't show it. The trades that he shows lives, they could be on a sim account. I don't know. It could be cherry picked. You just don't know. You will never know, and it is what it is. Now, with the daily chart that he does, he marks those trades after the fact. And when you first start trading, yes, those will help you. Absolutely, 100%. They will help you because you don't know what you're looking at. If you don't know what you're looking at, it helps to kind of, you know, compare your chart to his chart and whatnot, right? And, you know, if you have questions, he might be able to answer you on that video, right? But at some point in your career, in your journey, right, you're gonna come across a point and you're gonna ask yourself, well, do they really help you? And that's kind of where I was at, because at one point, I think it was like a year after I started trading, I realized that those daily charts, they weren't really helping me. And the reason they weren't helping me is because he marks the most perfect, absolute 100% perfect chart reading trades, right? Meaning that if you're reading the chart 100%, those are the perfect trades that you should be taking. And as we all know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's gonna be 100%. Nobody. Like, come on. It's sad. It's sad that he marks those, because as a teacher, you should be able to demonstrate your trades to your students, right? I want to say almost every day, because you can't just, I can sit here and mark perfect. I can say, okay, yeah, after the fact, this is a triple test here, take this trade. because of, you know, break new low, 2 legs down, and we have a triple test, and we have a measure move. Okay, that's too easy. It's way too easy. Oh yeah, take this short right here because, you know, it's a failed breakout. Well, come on, like at the time, like you know, like, you know, you don't know if this is a failed breakout, right? What if it takes lower and then goes back up higher? You don't know that, right? Now, if you get a lower high, it's a different story. And yes, I'm talking about Renko bars, but again, the thought process is the same. It's the same for Renko, it's the same for tick charts, it's the same for minute charts, it's the same for whatever charts. Does not matter. Heikin-Ashi, well, I don't know about Heikin-Ashi, but either way, my point is the price action works the same on any bar, any time frame. So my point is, you know, yes, if you're new, do watch his daily chart reviews. It will definitely help you a lot. But at some point, you're gonna have to make your own decision and decide, okay, if this hell really happened to me, or is it like making me feel stupid? Because that's where I was at, because I was not seeing those trades. I wasn't, and I got frustrated because, like, well, how come he sees these trades and I don't? And yes, I know that he's been trading for 25 plus years, but at least I want to see some kind of consistency with mine, at least where, meaning that, you know, I want to see some, like, you know, maybe 3 or 4 trades that I see that match with his, but I was getting maybe 1 or 2. That's it. So again, it was for me personally, it was doing more harm than good. Initially, it was great. I loved it. It was perfect, exactly what I needed. But at some point, you're gonna say, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. I know the strategy. And by the way, like, this strategy, it takes about 6 to 8 months to learn, maybe a year, right? It's not very difficult. As long as you know the terminology, as long as you know how the strategy works and how the challenge works, it's relatively easy. It really is. Compared to like ICT, for example, this is nothing. Okay, I don't know if you guys ever tried ICT. I tried to dip into ICT a little bit a while back, and I was lost. I was absolutely lost with all the BC, CBs and PD arrays and all that crap. I was like, I was lost. I was absolutely lost. And ICT, by the way, has like 15,000 different mentorships. It's like, whatever. To me, this makes sense. This is why I stuck with this strategy for so long. It just makes sense. It really does. Sometimes it's unfortunate that the prices doesn't give you the entries that you're looking for. Like, perfect example is today, right? But overall, it makes sense. It makes sense for me. I feel confident trading it because I understand it. And once you understand it, you feel better about yourself, you feel more confident, and you will start taking more trades, and so on and so forth. So the last thing I want to mention is basically looking at more of a bigger picture, right? I think a lot of new traders that come into the space and with this strategy, I think they're too focused on the second entries, right? And I know I was definitely the victim too. Not the victim, but I was one of the people that did that. I was too, especially in the beginning, I was way too focused on, the microstructure. And even to recently, I was still too focused on, and I slowly started increasing the brick sizes and adding the 10K chart and the things like that to more give me a broader view of what the price is doing. Not every second entry is going to work. And that's one thing I also forgot to mention when I was talking about the chart reviews. He doesn't mark every single second entry that you should be taking, meaning there's second entries that simply do not work. Okay. And when I was watching his reviews back, like, a year ago, whatever, it's either A, he doesn't mention them, okay, because they don't quote unquote fit his rules, or B, he does mention them and he makes up some kind of reason not to take it. Okay. And honestly speaking, that's just, you have to mention the trades that don't work. You have to. Okay. It's simply, you just can't go sitting there and talk about how every trade works. It just does not. It just does not. And that's one of the other reasons why I stopped watching his recaps, because he skips the trades and it's like, well, what happened to this? And he'll just, I remember a while back, I forgot when it was just like maybe 6 months ago. I was watching his chart review, and he was talking about this setup, and he just the excuse was so random. I was like, he was talking about some measured move between the channels or something. I was like, bro, just say it doesn't work. Just say it didn't work. Okay, that's all. You're moving on. But he was, it was so weird. But yeah, he doesn't mention the trades that just don't work, because it's not according to his rules. And honestly speaking, you can wind their channel and have a, you know, a nice little entry, and you know, it just doesn't work, and that's okay, right? I don't have an example right now. It's not about the pattern, it's not about the second entry, it's not about the you know, the legs and stuff like that. I mean, it kind of is actually. I'm sorry, I'll take that back. It is about the legs, right? If you can visualize, you know, kind of like, for example, here, right, you have let's see, a leg here, right? This is the first leg, and then boom, you have a second leg. Obviously this is a measured move, but you know, I mean, this is basically, let me just show you the arrows. So you have first leg, then you have a second leg, right? So two legs down, boom, price reverses, you get a higher low, go long, right? That's kind of like what I've been trying to train my brain recently, to see more of a bigger picture. And that kind of goes with I don't know if you guys ever seen Penguin Trades. He does this type of style trading. He doesn't look at, like, you know, this right here, you know, this type of trade where it's a second entry, you're looking to retest his lows, right? He looks more of a, like a broader view of the chart. And again, it comes down to the tick chart, right? Penguin Trade still uses 2000 tick chart, which is fine, whatever. It works, it works. But I think, you know, going a little bit higher time frame, maybe like a 3K chart, would definitely help you out with that. So again, try to pay attention to a bigger picture. And also, he talks about in that video, he talks about he cares more about the where your stop loss goes and the actual risk itself. I don't agree with that. I think you should be very aware of the risk. I think it's again, if you're teaching 1-point scalp, you got to understand the risk. Because if you just say, oh, risk doesn't really matter, it only matters where my stop loss goes, well, guess what? If you get getting stopped out for on average 3 points and you're only making 1 point, you're not gonna make it. That's simple math. So risk is important. So to him, it's not important, again, because he knows this stuff. He's been training for 25 years. Like, it's like, put in perspective, it's like, I've been working in the kitchen for what, actually 20 years. I quit 2 years ago. And if I make a certain sauce for 15 years my way and it works out great every single time, right? And it works, why would I change that? Yeah, sure, there's different ways you can do it. There's different, you know, there's more effective way, there's a lot more easier way, you can do a little bit different ingredients, but still get the same result. But for me, it worked. It worked for me because I've been doing it for 15 years. Okay, I might have a new guy coming in, might be doing the same exact sauce. He might have a little bit of different style, different flair, or different, you know, steps or whatever, but end result is still the same, right? Do I need to change it? No. Why? Because it's been working for him or for me. It's the same thing for Mack, right? It's been working for him, so he's not gonna change it. Okay, don't change what works, right? It's up to you to figure it out. What do you like, what don't like, you know? If you like footprints, if you like wrinkle, if you like your tick charts, if you like minute charts, whatever it is, figure it out. But in conclusion and overall, and kind of close this video out, right? Does this strategy work? Yes, it works. It works great when the price action moves, right? I've seen it work. I've experienced it work. I've passed many evaluations with it. It works, okay? Risk reward sucks. Do not use the 4-point scalp, or I'm sorry, the 4-tick scalp, 1 point. Do not do that. That's dumb. Don't do that. You do 1-to-1. If you're risking 150 bucks, make sure your target profit is 150 bucks. If you're risking 200, make sure you get in 200, and so on and so forth. Do not do the 1-point scalp. And lastly, you know, he teaches you how to read the chart. That's the main point. I think most people, I don't want to say most people, the new traders that miss this is that they don't really grasp the concept of chart reading. And I agree with him 100%. Everybody's doing chart reading. They might be slightly different than what he teaches, you know, like ICT and whatnot, right? Whatever, volume profile, all that good stuff. But it ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing with reading the price. And that's what's important. If you're looking for something that's just automatic or mechanical, like he said, or systematic, this is not it. This is not it. I'm telling you right now, this is not the system for you. This is about reading a chart. This is about figuring out what the price is doing. It's about doing your charting, doing your annotations, and then go with it, right? That's what you're trying to do. That's what he's trying to teach. And like I said before, a lot of people, when they're new, they tend to not understand that. But this video is about 20 minutes long, and I don't know how many people actually want to watch this, but I figure I just want to get it out there. I hope I covered pretty much everything that I wanted to say, maybe a few things I left out. But yeah, if you're new, again, please consider what I just said. Think about it, you know, really ask any other trader, ask you know, anybody who trades with his system. There's plenty of people out there on YouTube. Just YouTube Pat's trading price action Mack system, whatever, and email them and they'll let you know. But I've seen a lot of people, not a lot, but a few traders who do trade this system. Well, they start doing, you know, 2-3 point scalps instead of 1. Because why? Because, well, for the reasons I just explained. And I'm gonna do like trees and leave. But thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.